And for next presentation, I would like to invite Geeta Gurnani from IBM Technology, CTO and Technical Sales Leader, India and South Asia. To give you a background, Geeta is a pioneer in technology and has more than 25 years of experience in technology, serving multiple industries. Her career expands over several domains, right from pre-sales technical to architect, solution lead, business development, and business strategy. Prior to this, she has also served the country head for modern work at Microsoft India. Can we welcome her with very big round of applause, please?
Hi, thank you, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, and Satish, thank you for such a great session what you had, and I think I've been perfectly in this journey of being technology, business, and then back to technology, and I think absolutely it is working, and all of us are now, I think the question also which was asked from a technology evolution perspective is that we are all getting deep into business. So technical people are getting deep into technology part, and technology people are getting deep into the business part of it. Because without that, it's just not working, because we just need to talk the business language and we need to be really working with the business hand in hand as we talk. And of course, with your charts, Satish, it looks like CIO job is very, very safe job because the evolution is just not ending, right? And for the partners like IBM, of course, we are heavily dependent on all CIOs and CTOs as they make their decisions. But I think that also brings to an important conversation which says that, and this is something which was going on my mind when I was switching from a business leader to the technology back when I joined IBM back about just 2 months back, that what is the tech which matters? Because if you see today, this is something I just created and got from our own marketing research team, saying that what are the different topics which are talked about. This was a globally done, largely based on the public news, letters, whatever was available, that how many technologies people are constantly talking about, infusing in the business and having the conversation. So if you see, I think it's absolutely difficult to keep 100% pace with the technology we are talking about, but at the same time, there is no choice, right? We have to cope up with it. We have to keep thinking about it, that which part of our business can really benefit from these technology, right? And if you see in India right now, we are talking about top 3, and I know Sandeep's motto was in this conversation, no jargons and only case studies, but I think these jargons keeps us busy all the time, right? That we talk about the robotic process automation, quantum computing, cloud adoption, everything. And in India, the most 3 things which are spoken about is quantum, cybersecurity, and automation. These are the 3 things. And if you see, if I keep quantum aside for a minute, which is a little bit futuristic right now, but it has already started to have the conversation a lot with the industry leaders, saying that how do they think that business is completely going to change when quantum comes? But if you see automation, see, I think we were all doing digitization from a very, very long time. It's not that it's new that we are learning now how to digitize or how to automate. I think it is the pace and the technology, and especially the AI, which is making automation much more efficient. That how do you really keep applying the automation, including the AI part of it? And cybersecurity, I think it just goes without saying that the more and more we are exposing, the more and more we are digitizing, security is becoming the prime challenge, right? How do we take? So these are all some stats which are more collection of the newsletters and all. Now, since it's a no jargon and a case study thing, I just want to talk about 2 little impactful technology part, or the tech that matters, which I spoke about, which IBM recently announced, very, very recently announced, because in my mind, these 2 announcements are actually going to impact maybe most of you in this room in terms of the industry, saying that what's going to happen, because most of us will be impacted by the 5G, right? As 5G comes, the different use cases come, and the computing will become more efficient, right? How do you do the computing on the edge? So we announced this partnership with Airtel, where we are going to come out on their multiple data centers and drive the edge computing and allow the businesses like manufacturing, the healthcare, the hospitals, everything allow being impacted. But I think I always say that these are the technology which are for good, because these are the problems we were not able to solve manually, right? Or through the human interventions is what we are trying to solve. The second announcement is with the IIT Madras around the quantum computing, and I actually personally took a full class last week to just understand that what does quantum means. I think the biggest takeaway I learned that it doesn't operate in 1 and 0, and it's all about qubits and what power qubit is going to bring in, right? But if you think about the kind of innovation it will bring, it's mind-blowing that how it can process many things, and it will help us advance a lot of our research, and it will really help us address a lot of our security concerns, right? So these are two technology I felt, which is the 5G and the edge computing, which we announced with Airtel, and also the quantum part, which is going to impact India at least in next 3 years in a very, very big way, right? So these are the two things from a case study standpoint I wanted to talk, but also these are many things which IBM has done, and this was just to highlight the different parts of our portfolio, and I'll go into each one of them in little detail that what did we try to do. So we actually transformed entire bank SBI, right, which was not known as a digital or a Gen Z bank, right, to a bank which is now completely digitized and doing many things through the as a digital marketplace platform, and that was built on the IBM platform, and the IBM consulting firm really delivered it. I will not go into each one of this, but there are few interesting ones. If you see, let's say if I talk about Parlay, because I'm picking few use cases which might impact everybody from, let's say, supply chain perspective, that how do you bring more efficiency in supply chain? How do you deploy AI when it comes to the supply chain part of it? And we are using our Watson AI components to really make entire Parlay supply chain very, very efficient. And how do they place order? How do they manage the entire inventory part of it, right? So that is there. And the third one I think I would like to cover a little bit is the Godrej, who simplified their IT infrastructure. And I think the interesting part I am seeing now is that when we think automation, right, there are three parts which we are talking about. One is the people. And most of us are now familiar, because I keep saying that now we have robots as our colleagues, right? When we are chatting on our HR, Ask HR, we don't know, are we chatting with a human or are we chatting with a robot? So robots are our new colleagues. So people automation is something which has started to happen. The second is process automation, right? How do you see the processes getting automation? I think now the third wave is that how are you really deeply infusing AI into your operations, into the IT infrastructure management? Are you able to automate as many tickets possible, right? Which are the routine mundane tickets which are happening. How do you monetize each one of them? Are you doing an entire application resource management? See, it's a reality. We can't go away from it that many of us in the organization are either using public cloud or on the hybrid cloud or are still on the on-premise, right? And sometimes, of course, public cloud bill surprises us, but at the same time, it saves a lot of our time and effort as we manage the infrastructure part. But I think I am, at least when I was in the previous business role, I had a chance to talk to a few CFOs, and they said that, yes, I think it's fantastic that we have a scalability, we have an agility, but the bills are really starting to hurt now. So I think it's a time for us to really see that what is the optimal workload for cloud, which should go on the cloud, or do we have an ability to have a hybrid as a policy in the organization, where we say that if I really don't have to take this particular workload to the cloud, it stays on premise, but at any point in time I want to take it to the cloud, I should have a flexibility to do that. But how do we enable organization? And that is where our entire AI ops comes into the picture, or the hybrid cloud comes into the picture, that we enable organizations to have that flexibility, that if you are saying that, okay, today I'm on-prem, tomorrow I want to go on the cloud, or again bring back on the on-premise part of it, I have a flexibility to do that. So these are few case studies, few more case studies. I think Maruti one probably touches a couple of our lives, because we do use Maruti connected cars, which runs on the IBM platform, and IBM Consulting has delivered that. So it actually touches, at least I saw one of the driver in Delhi telling me long back when it was launched about 4 years back. He said, now my boss really calls me and says, Ki, you are not standing where the location was in terms of the cab driver. That was driver. And he could relate to saying that what's happening, and I really enjoyed this IoT conversation with that cab driver, saying that, yeah, now you are tracked and traced that where you are and are you really serving your customer or no, right? So this is, I think, this is Maruti, which we did, and recently we worked with HDFC Bank on their entire security portfolio. So they have outsourced because they wanted to focus on their core business. So their entire SOC is handled by IBM, and we are managing their entire security portfolio. So these are top case studies. Of course, one is government also. You can see Ministry of External Affairs is also we are working on, right? So these were like some top of the mind case studies, but now let's talk about that how IBM has changed. See, many people also ask that, and it's not many people. In fact, one day my son also asked me, he said, he was young when he asked me this question. He said, I think the Googles and other are very cool company. You are not a cool company. Okay, IBM is not a cool company. So I said, what's your definition of the cool? It's just that how you show up at the workplace is what you decide as a cool, or you're more publicly available. Then I just told him that, do you know who helped the first human being land on the moon? He said, no. I said, that's IBM. So isn't it that cool that we are making the human being land on the moon, right? So if you talk about that, how IBM is impacting, I think the impact is much vaster. If you see any banks, the top banks in India, they're using our API Connect platforms. Now, that's a backbone. Of course, for us, that's a one customer, that bank which uses API Connect. But imagine how many fintechs are actually connecting with it. So we are actually largely impacting all those fintechs which actually connect to the bank, right? So the impact is much larger. Of course, IBM is known as an enterprise company, saying that we work deeply with the enterprises, but I think a lot of our portfolio really can cater to the every customer we go with, right? So today IBM is, I think most of you know, Red Hat is an IBM company now. So this is how we are structured as a company. Just a sneak peek for 2 minutes that we have infrastructure, then we have Red Hat, which helps us to do the hybrid cloud, which means everything we have now as a product is available on OpenShift as a cloud platform. Then we have software, and then we have our consulting. We work with everyone, which is, you see today IBM software is actually available on AWS and Azure. It's coming up, so all our data integration platform, AIOps platform are starting to come on the Azure and the other platforms, right? So completely flexible, and a hybrid cloud is the environment we're talking about, right? 4 things for which I will just cover a few case studies from a technology standpoint, that how we are thinking and going our go-to-market, because when you saw that first slide, it had gamut of things, right, in terms of the technology, but we just clubbed it into 4 pillars, saying that how are we really helping organizations, which is how do we help them to automate, which is, as I said, 3 dimension, business, people, and system, right? That how do you automate that? Then how do you secure your entire infrastructure to the entire zero trust framework, which we all speak about? Then modernize, which is completely the agility part, and the prediction, which is the entire data driven. And Satish did speak about the data, the importance that every CIO will have a job to do a revenue generation, right? From a data and AI perspective. So how do we help organization do this? And I think I'll cover 1 or 2 case studies here, saying that how we are going deeper with each of our customers to really help them do this, right? So this one is around automation of a business process. So this is around the trade operation of the complete trade operation for a bank. I can't name the customer because it's not publicly referenceable yet, but it's an entire improvement in their turnaround process of the trade process, which means we applied every possible technology. If you see it here, right, which is the OCR service to using AI/ML for classification, NLP extractions, and BRE services, AI services. So this is plethora of technology which were used, but what was the benefit for business, right? For business, it was simple, saying that, are you reducing my turnaround time, right? So if you're reducing my turnaround time, whatever technology you use, I'm good with that at the back end, right? But we did use all these back-end technology to really help the entire trade process to reduce the turnaround time, that how you are really processing at the bank, right? So this is one case study I wanted to talk, and API banking, which I spoke about, where I feel actually IBM is really impacting a very big ecosystem alongside banks, that they are able to connect to the larger ecosystem. So we have Yes Bank, they are publicly referenceable customers. We have Federal Bank, RBL Bank, and another private sector bank. But what are they doing? I think the more important from a business standpoint, if you see that these are the use cases which actually drove the whole API integration story, right? Which means if I was to open up for open banking, or if I am using banks as a payments channel, right? Or if I'm using bank as a producer where banks are actually selling the third-party services, there is an essential need to connect through the APIs, right, to the banking systems, the core systems which we are talking about, and they have to be very, very robust, right? Otherwise, I think that India has a very interesting and unique challenge for everything which is scale, right? Which means any product you develop or anything you do, you need to think scale. You can't think it in a small way, right? Because the population or the digital users or the internet users we have, they have to be really dealt at a scale part of it. So that's the API banking where we are really working with customer. This I've already covered, so I will not go into this part of it. I don't know how many of you know, and I was actually attending RBI's data center inauguration last week in Bhubaneswar, where they have opened up, and they are a big IBM partner as a central bank. They run your entire RTGS actually runs on the IBM Z platform, the entire RTGS which is running the whole country. And we did speak about that, how are they really thinking now, even the digital currency part, CBDS, right, is what RBI is thinking about. And how do they manage such infrastructure which is like millions of users, because they are a central bank, they are not even a consumer bank, right? So they use, from an automation perspective, they use RMQ as a technology which allows the whole replication to happen across different data center. So that's the scale at which we are impacting from a business industry impact standpoint. This is last one I think I spoke about, which is AI Ops, that how do you automate your entire AI or the infrastructure part of it and bring it, application resource management or application performance management part of it. A lot more happening. I think at least I am meeting whoever are the cloud users. When I'm meeting them, I think they're saying, okay, this is one technology we definitely want. And there's a booth we have. I have my colleague Soumya sitting right here. I think in the break you can go and see. And it's a technology which you can directly show benefits to your CFO in flat, I think 3 to 4 weeks time, saying that what is my application resource usage and how can I really optimize it for the business and reinvest that money somewhere where it is needed, right? Sustainability, so just before the conference was starting, we were just saying that, is sustainability still at the conversation of reporting, audit, or is it like something real which is starting to impact people? And I think it has two connotations. One, I feel a lot of us ourselves want to contribute, right? We are socially aware people, we want to contribute. I was happy that in my room there was no plastic bottle today in the Ritz-Carlton. Now I am not so happy that they have put some plastic bottles here. So I think sustainability is a bigger charter. A lot of people have the personal passion, and I think it's our responsibility back to the planet, that how do we handle that part of it. But technology has a very important role to play here, right? So unless you start to monitor every asset which is available and you start to optimize those assets, you won't be able to really cater to saying that how do you optimize or become a sustainable enterprise, right? So if you are an asset heavy organization, are you really able to monitor the asset utilization part of it or the asset performance part of it so that you are not contributing to the carbon emission part of it, right? So just one case study and not two is what I will talk. This is one of the leading manufacturer who created the entire digital factory. And from a technology standpoint, we used a couple of our technology component, what we call Maximo, to do the entire asset management, do the health, safety and environment part of it, and also doing the application which is allowing it to monitor. The benefits, if you see, I think, and that's, I think, a bigger impact, saying that while we are talking about asset utilization of the entire factory or the production part of it, but how is it really contributing to the sustainability of the enterprise is an important charter, right? All of us carry. So that part of it, and how do you really reduce carbon footprint by, maybe even we had one conversation that now we have our Z, which is the mainframe platform having Linux as a technology. So we have mainframe Z and we just launched Linux 1. It actually just compresses a lot of infrastructure into one, and it can help you to reduce the carbon footprint in a big way, right? So the carbon footprint, today I think if we talk about it, goes everywhere. If you talk AI ops, if you optimize your infrastructure, that's going to really add to sustainability. If you're optimizing your assets, it's going to add to your sustainability. So I think it's no more a pure boardroom conversation, it's becoming real. But I think the onus is on this community of technology or intellectually curious technology people, saying that how do we bring more and more technology in every aspect of the organization so that we are able to become a sustainable enterprise, right? Security, I think this doesn't require too much of conversation. I think all of us are aware that how critical is the whole zero trust part of it. But I think there is a big debate in the industry, I would say, where people are struggling to think that should they go best of the breed approach in security, or should they look for an integrated platform, right? Because security is critical, and it's a conversation which just can't be avoided, right? So best of the breed versus the one suite kind of a thing, or consolidated platform is a question. I think we are seeing a trend toward consolidation of the platform because it actually improves your risk posture, right? So if you are using best of the breed, of course, it's great that you're using best of the breed, but it doesn't allow you to reduce your risk posture as much if you start to go with a single platform kind of an approach or a consolidated kind of approach. So we are seeing that trend emerging, and we are helping a lot of banks, and we have a lot of partners from IBM, what we call them MSSPs, who are using our technology to help many organizations to do the entire threat management or the digital trust management part of it. This is a case study with one of the large public sector bank which is using, and I think if I'm not wrong, out of top 10 banks in India, almost 6-7 use IBM platform when it comes to the security part of it, right? So that's our security portfolio. That's broadly from my side. I think I just wanted to take you through the few interesting case studies that what we are trying to do with the customers in India. Though my references are more enterprise in nature, but I believe now that different parts of these components are absolutely applicable to every organization. We have done many acquisitions in last 18 months, which are helping our customers in pockets. And I think next year starting, we would have this big IBM technology on all public hyperscaler platforms. It's already there in US. In India, it's just coming here. And we do have our own hybrid cloud platform, which is in the Chennai. So that's broadly from a technology standpoint. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta, for your time and presentation. Please stay back. Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know. I see a few hands. Yes, sir. One by one. Yes.
Amit here from Blessed IT Solution. I'm very curious to know about the sustainability piece because right now we are running a hackathon actually on the Green IT platform.
Correct.
And as we know that more and more systems are there, be it in cloud, be it on premises, it generates enormous amount of CO2.
Yes.
So how we can bring it down kind of thing?
Sure. So I think we do have, and maybe I can have a one-on-one conversation with you, saying that what are the different areas in sustainability we impact. So like I just spoke about the asset part of it. We'll talk about the infra part of it, that how we do. We even do in the supply chain part of it. So I can take you through that, the various components of technology, how they can fit into the different parts, and probably we can just see that how we can contribute to your hackathon which is happening.
I'll go back to your first slide,
Sure.
Quantum computing. What do you think as the possible application areas? Because quantum computing doesn't compute everything faster. It can compute only certain kind of computations faster. So if you can throw some light on that, and when do you think the adoption will start?
So as I said, like I took my masterclass last week saying that how the quantum computing works. I think what I'm given understanding is that wherever you see in the industry, the applied part of the technology which is close to a molecule or atom's behavior, which is, and I'm just using a term which I learned, saying that unless you observe it, it stays in the fuzzy stage, okay? Saying that unless you observe it, it will remain like that. So I think the applicability, what I'm learning is one big time in the healthcare and the science, which is where to come out with a drug or a variation of the drug, you have to try many permutation combinations before you reach to the conclusion that this is the right drug to really take. So I think the healthcare definitely is a one area which I saw where people were talking about the applicability part of it. The second, I think, I also learned a bit about that how this is going to help on security. Okay, because now you are also hearing that there are quantum safe algorithms coming to help you do the security part of it, right? And one of the example I was given was that today, believe me or not, but lot of our neighboring countries are actually collecting a lot of data about India. So let's assume China is collecting a lot of data about India, and they don't have a processing power today because the amount of data is so big that they are unable to decrypt. And I was told that the highest form of security algorithm which exists today on a normal computer, which is highest computing today available, will take 6 billion years to decrypt on the normal. But just take a guess how much time it will take on the quantum. Just a wild guess. Anybody want to take a guess? How much time it will take on the quantum machine to break that algorithm? Days, all right. It will take 8 hours, all right? So 6 billion years to 8 hours, that's the kind of computing we are talking about, right? So with the whole advancement in the digitization and the internet part, I think security is the another area which I am seeing. But anything to do with the molecules and the permutation combination part of it is what I'm given understanding is really going to impact. And the simplest example, the scientist I was talking from IBM gave me, I said, okay, explain me in the simplest form that how do I learn that quantum will help, right? And how does the permutation combination can be reduced? He said, just imagine when you are playing a maze game, right? Puzzle, maze game. You will, when you are in 1 and 0s, you will keep thinking many combinations before you reach the destination, like many paths to reach to that 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. But if you are in quantum, you will actually get a final path in one shot because it keeps changing the state and it will just reach. So that's the simplest example which was given to me. So I think any mathematically to be solved problems in my mind will have applicability, which will involve a lot of AI applicability as well. Yeah.
Kailash from 𝗟𝗲 Insurance Brokers. See, I come from an industry where there are probably about 40 insurers and maybe about 1,000 other small businesses involved in the value chain. We suffer from an utter lack of data standard representation along the entire value flow. See, you have worked with banks with the open banking API. I would like to understand if you worked with other industry bodies or consortiums, say, for example, insurance, where there are some standards that can be developed that can streamline data transfer and representation and things like that. Because in the value chain of cost, value, innovation, and strategic influence, I think there are certain industries that are way behind and some that have powered forward. And I think the industry that I come in is still using email and Zoom calls as the metric for better efficiency rather than looking beyond that. So just want your experience on handling such situations or dealing with consortiums as such.
No, so you are right. I think there are industry bodies who are working, but do we have a laid out standard? I would say that is actually fall more on the data governance part, right? So I think we are learning to use data, the amount of data we have, but are we prepared to use that data? Which means in a data governance layer, how the data is structured and how it should be consumed. I think it's very complicated and it's completely varies from in enterprises to enterprises or industry to industry. So I think we do work, but I don't have a right away answer to you saying that which are the industry bodies we are working. But I do see right now data governance is a challenge, and hopefully with the India Privacy Data Bill coming in, that problem should be addressed to a level, right? Which means there will be standards formed that how do you store data, how do you prepare data, how do you share data, because right now it's not that structured, I would say. So the hope is that when the India Data Privacy Bill comes, where all of us are working with government bodies, this should be streamlined to a good extent.
Okay. Any other question?
Yeah. Hi, Geeta. This is Prithvi. A big fan of IBM Watson and the cloud. So I have a question on the cybersecurity. So basically, security is the combination of both hardware and also software. So I think in the back end, in the cloud infrastructure, probably you are solving a lot of use cases. For the end users, like, I'm talking about the consumers, is there anything that IBM actually currently working with, probably some hardware partners or something like that to actually secure the general usage of any devices or in the IoT or anything like that?
Yeah, I think IoT security is a next level of challenge, which all of us are. Yes, we are working, and I think we are pretty advanced on that stage, saying that how do we manage that whole digital identity if you are referring to the consumer part of the world. So you rightly said, I think we are all pretty much evolved on handling the threats part of it, which is a lot of event management and SIM and all of that is established. I think the digital trust, which is actually coming by the virtue of digital identities, right? And I also say that IoT actually brings digital identity to a device, right? It's not about people only. So your question is right, saying that when we're talking about digital identity or the security at that level, it's a combination of device as well as people, because both are at the end of the day resource, right, which we are doing. So yes, we are absolutely working, and probably we can share with you that what are we doing on the IoT device part and the security part. Because if you see, we have done a heavy investment on the edge computing part, and this Airtel example, what you see, right? It's a perfect example of that, in which in the edge is actually completely secured there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Geeta. Please stay back for a few seconds.
Yeah, thank you so much for being patient listener and a great question answer.
Yeah.